So if you have to work with Checkpoint, you need to have a hardware. That hardware could have been purchased from Checkpoint, or it could also an open platform. So operating system, it can be Gaia, it can be Splat.
Okay.
And firewall, obviously it is going to be Checkpoint.
So what is all about Splat? I mean, like, what exactly?
Splat is nothing but an operating system customized from Linux. Hardened operating system, whatever the patches needs to be done, whatever the services needs to be stopped, all of them have been customized. So nobody can get into the kernel, because the ultimate goal of an attacker would be gaining kernel access. Once they gain the kernel access, they can do whatever they want. So the operating system has been hardened so that nobody can easily tap into the operating system's kernel.
Okay.
Okay. Now I also told you that Checkpoint uses a 3-tier architecture. So what are the components? When I say 3-tier, 3 different components are there. It is Smart Console, Smart Management, and Smart Gateway. Okay. Now what is this gateway is all about? Let me open up a diagram and then I'll show you what is that going to be. So let me say, so a gateway is the perimeter device, we can say that one. All of the traffic or your gateway is going to be the demarcation point between the LAN and your WAN.
Right.
So all traffic has to be flowing through the gateway, whether it is going to be internal to external or external to internal, it doesn't matter. All traffic has to pass through the gateway. Since the traffic is passing through the gateway, the brain what we have has the ability of identifying the genuine and malicious traffic or unwanted traffic, whatever you can. So the filtering actually going to happen on the component, what we call it as a security gateway. Right? The language what the security gateway speaks is called inspect. Okay, so we can also say the kernel of Checkpoint is inspect. To explain and understand better, I'm just calling this as a language. The language what we speak is not inspect. So you cannot expect the gateway to understand your language. Okay, if that's so, how come the firewall or the gateway could understand, could recognize what traffic is genuine or what traffic is malicious or unwanted? Because if you are going to give the instruction to the gateway, how does a gateway knows what is genuine and what is malicious? Because it has to get the instruction from the administrator. Am I right? So how the administrator can give those instructions to the gateway? They have to talk to each other. By default, the brain would be there, no knowledge would be there. Then how the firewall could know about what traffic I can allow and what traffic I can deny? It is purely dependent on the instructions given by the administrator. Again, how the administrator knows what traffic needs to be permitted and what traffic needs to be denied, they would have received or they would have derived that from the corporate security policy. So there will be a lot of requirement from their internal people, and that is going to be approved by your approver. Based on that, you will be writing a policy. So what we are trying to say, the single point of contact for the gateway would be the administrator. Administrator will be getting the instruction from the management or the colleagues or whomever it is. So they have to translate the request or the detail into a language which a gateway could understand. Do you understand what I'm saying? Yeah. Okay. Now the language what gateway speaks is inspect, which we don't understand. Similarly, the gateway couldn't understand our language. If they can't understand the language each other, then what will happen? They wouldn't be able to communicate. So that is where the management server or smart management server comes into picture. I'm going to call this guy as a translator. So gateway is connected to the management server, and we are also going to be connected to the management server. So we can speak in a language which we can understand. So what the management server will do, it will translate that information into the language what gateway could understand, and that will be forwarded to the gateway.
Okay.
right? Similarly, if something needs to be reported back to the administrator by the gateway, that will be given to the management server in a language what they speak, which is inspect. So management server translate that back to the language what we could understand, right? So management server is our central point of contact. Now how do we get connected to the management server? That is where the smart console comes into picture, right? So the client is going to be installed on the administrator laptop or PC, using which an administrator could get connected to the management server. So all the changes an administrator needs to be performing on, what is that called, on gateway, he has to do it on the management server. So he is connecting to the management server and he is passing all the instructions, and then this can be pushed back to the gateway. Is that clear?
Yep.
Okay, fine. So we are just going to prepare our infrastructure so that we can start testing out all the discussions we are going to be having it.
So it's like just one question.
Yes,
So
yes.
it's like, as you told that smart console is a client. Okay, so smart client means like we would be having one console of checkpoint. How is
Exactly.
it like?
Exactly. It's a thin
And
client.
it's a thin client. Okay, and via that you would be connecting to management server of checkpoint.
Perfect. Yes.
So it's a
So
management server. So it's a GUI based server.
yes. You can also have the CLI. So using the client, you will connect to the management server. Like a PuTTY, when you do PuTTY connection, you're taking the console access, right? Similarly, using this client, you can take the GUI access.
Fine.
So whatever the changes you do, you are doing only on the management server. So make sure that those things are saved on the management server and then pushed it to the gateway.
So is the management server also deployed on checkpoint?
Yeah, obviously.
Okay. I was thinking that management servers would be some different, and via that platform you would be
No.
connecting to check.
You're talking about a different centralized management software. I'm not
Okay.
talking about it. It is a checkpoint management, a smart management server,
Okay.
right?
But
Fine. So,
they can be standalone, right? Like they can be in one.
Exactly. Now I have not discussed that one. What is standalone or what is distributed for Gunjan? Okay. Now the point is we need 3 devices, right? So that's what we were talking about. So we need to have a machine where the console can be installed. We need to have a hardware where the management server could be installed, and we need to have a hardware where the gateway could be installed, right?
yeah.
Okay. Now the point is, when I'm talking about the different types of checkpoint installation, the client is not at all going to be considered. Okay. Now I have the choice of having the management and gateway running on a single hardware. That is also a choice. So what I'm trying to say, the management server and the gateway could be running on a single hardware. Then I call it as standalone installation. Management and the gateway on a single hardware. Okay. And then we also have something called as what? Distributed installation, where management server on hardware and gateway on a different hardware. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay. So when I say standalone installation, both the modules, what is that, management and gateway, are running on the same hardware. When I say distributed installation, management server will be on a different hardware and your gateway would be on a different hardware. Right? So the thing is, when you have this management server and gateway, if you have multiple gateways, you don't need to have multiple management servers. All of those gateways could be managed by a single management server also. So in that way, in an infrastructure where you have more number of firewalls could be managed, checkpoint firewalls could be managed from a single point, single place, which is called a management server. Okay, now we are just going to prepare this installation, or we are going to have the infrastructure so that we can test it out, all the exercises we will be discussing later on. So what is that I need? So I need a management console that I could install it on my laptop. So I'm not going to do the installation right away now. So I need to take a call whether I'm going for a distributed installation or a standalone installation. So my recommendation would be having a distributed installation will help us to understand many concepts. Where a standalone installation is very simple to do it. I will explain you how that has to be done. For carrying out all of our exercises, we are going to be using a distributed environment. Okay. Now we need to have two different hardwares, one for management and one for gateway. How this could be possible? So I will be taking the help of a VMware, where one VM will be for a management server, we call it as SMS, and one VM is for your gateway. Okay, I hope you guys worked on VMware, at least you know what is VMware.
Yeah.
Right. Hardware could be virtualized into multiple logical machines. Right. So I'm going to have one logical hardware for management server, and I'm going to have another logical machine for the gateway. But I need to understand what is my requirement. If it is going to be a management server, all I need is one interface, which is more than enough. Correct? When it comes to gateway, at a minimum, I need to have two interfaces, one for LAN and one for WAN. Correct? At a minimum. So if it is going to be a physical hardware, you need to be thinking like how many interfaces you have and what is the plan we are going to be doing it. So you need to install all the necessary modules of the interface card so that it can meet your future requirements also. When it comes to virtual machines, whenever it is required, I can start creating it. If an interface is required, I can add that interface. Okay? So once the machines are created, then the first step would be what? OS installation, which is a Gaia. Okay? So after that, the checkpoint modules can be installed on top of it. Do you understand?
Modules there, Gopi?
So once we have the machines created, we need to have the OS to be installed on top of it. The OS would be what? Gaia. Once the OS has been installed, then we can have the checkpoint being installed on top of it. Right. So my point is, I would like to build this kind of an infrastructure. What is that? I would like to have a client, I would like to have a management server, I would like to have a gateway, as well as it is connected to what? A public network. How this could be possible? Now I'm going to have a client also as a virtual machine. Now let me try to explain this one. Like, I'm going to have my internal LAN. Let's say that my machine IP is 10.1.50.10. That's my IP address of my client. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm going to have another server or another virtual machine, which is called as what? A management server, which could be in the same IP segment or could be in a different IP segment. If they're in the same IP segment, I don't need to worry about a router. If they're in a different IP, if they're in the same IP segment, I just need to provide the physical connectivity. If they're in the different IP segment, then I have to make sure that the routing is happening between the client and SMS also.
Yeah.
So I just need to make sure that the management server's IP address is reachable from your client. Okay. My point is, how do they get connected? So this is a virtual machine, right? So virtual machine, and this is also a virtual machine. How do they connect it? Okay. If you have a physical machine, what do? You will take the help of a switch and you will be connecting them. Am I right?
Right.
So if I'm going to have a virtual machine, I need to have a virtual switch so that I can get connected.
Yeah.
So it purely depends on which platform you're working on. Now I'm just going to explain you a concept inside your VMware workstation. This is a vSwitch. I'm going to call this as VMnet. Right? You can have multiple VMnets, and every VMnet is going to be identified by a number. I'm going to take the help of VMnet switch, which I call it as a vSwitch. You understand what I'm explaining here?
Right.
Yeah.
Okay, so I have one switch, which is called as what? VMnet1. If these two people can somehow connect it to this virtual switch and they are in the same IP segment, they can talk to each other. Am I right or not?
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, so I'm going to provide connectivity to the virtual switch. How do I do it? Let me show you that first. Till this point is clear, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. So I'm just going to start up my VMware. Okay. So let's start working with what? A client, Windows machine I have already installed it. So I'm going to make use of that virtual machine now. Okay, so instead I can also take this help. Okay, fine. So I have a virtual machine which I have allocated of 2 GB of RAM. A hard disk I have almost like some 28 GB, which is more than enough. I'm just going to check it out where the virtual interface is connected to. The physical machines will be having the physical NIC. Virtual machines will be having a virtual NIC. Correct? So I have the network adapter. That network adapter is pointing to VMnet3, but based on my diagram, it is supposed to be VMnet1. Am I right?
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just going to select here and check it out here. I'm going to select and keep it in VMnet1. So my PC or the client machine is connected to a virtual switch known as VMnet1. Does it make sense?
Right.
Okay. Now I need to have a new virtual machine to be created, and that is also going to be connected to the same vSwitch. So file, a new virtual machine is being created. You guys have worked on VM workstation?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, then I don't need to explain this procedure, right? Okay, so I'm just going to have the compatibility mode, and then saying that if I have the DVD of the checkpoint, I can insert it, I can select that one, this is part of the installer disk. The machine what I'm using, it doesn't have the CD drive at all. The DVD drive is not at all there. Or else if I have the ISO image of the checkpoint, then I can select the path, select the ISO file where it is. See here, I'm just going to be using the checkpoint R77.20 ISO file is being selected. So what I'm trying to say, this is the ISO file that you have to boot with. It will help me to do the installation of Gaia. Right? So I'm saying next. What operating system we are planning to install? Is that Windows? No. Is that Linux? No. So because of that reason, I've given it as what? Other. Now, where this machine has to be stored? See, from our perspective, it is a virtual machine. Whereas from VMware's perspective, it is just a file for it. Okay, we were comparing about like what MS Office, MS Word is there. If you're creating a document or you're saving it, for you it is a document, for the MS Office it is just a file. Similarly, when you're creating a virtual machine inside a VMware or any of the hypervisors, for you it is a machine, whereas for the hypervisor it is just a set of files. If that is the case, where you would like to store the file and what is the name that you would like to keep it? Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm just going to create a folder. CCSA is mentioned, checkpoint online. That's what? Right, so checkpoint online is the folder that I have created. Because I'm going to do a distributed installation, I would like to organize the files in a separate folder. The management server files, I would like to keep it in a separate folder. The gateway files, I would like to keep it in a separate folder. So I'm creating one folder, which I'm calling it as what? R77 MGNT. So this is the place that I'm going to be keeping it. What is the name of the file that you would like to keep it? Let it be R77mgmt. Okay. So this is the location of the file and this is the name of the file. I'm saying next. Now how many processors you would like to allocate? It purely depends your hardware's capacity. So in my case, let me go for, I think one processor is more than enough. One processor is more than enough. Okay, I'm just going for 2. It's okay, fine. Okay, what is the RAM that you would like to allocate? My total RAM size available is 16 GB. In that, let me go for 2048. Why I'm giving 2 GB of RAM? So that it will be better. The speed will be good. And then it is asking for interface. Where we would like to keep it? We would like to connect this interface to VMnet 1. Because my client machine is connected to VMnet 1, I would like to connect my management server also to the same switch. But I don't see that option, so that I'm going for next so that I'll be able to edit that one last. Okay, so go for default things. It's a kind of a ID hard disk. I would like to create a new hard disk. What is the size of the hard disk that you would like to go for it? See, if you check my total available space in my machine, it would be simply having somewhere around some 30 GB. But it doesn't mean that I have to give only 30 GB. I can also give some 200 GB. So unless that space is being required to store some files, that space is not at all going to be called from your base machine. Right? I'm just giving 100 GB of it. Say next. So next, now finally, I got the configuration details of a virtual machine what we have created. Let me edit. I don't want the sound card. Do you want the sound card? Let me take it out. So the adapter, now I can select it to VMnet 1. You got the point now, right? So I have a client machine which is connected to VMnet 1. I'm creating a new machine which is also connected to VMnet 1. So what is the plan of having a new virtual machine? Where I'm going to install Gaia and the management server. Okay, finish. Now I have a new virtual machine. I just need to turn it on where the installation will begin if I have the ISO file mapped to it. So what is that I would like to have? So I would like to go for install Gaia on this system.
So if I'm not wrong, I mean, like there was an older version also, R76 for this.
Yes. Yes.
So I mean, like that is not in picture now, or like
it is there. It is there. Okay. But currently R77 and R80 is being used.
Okay. So like any major difference?
Yes. There are a lot of differences out there. Okay. In the sense, all you have to do is I'll give you the release notes. You can start reading it.
Fine.
If there are no differences, there is no point in coming up with the new versions, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Now it is saying that this process will install the checkpoint Gaia R7720. Would you like to continue the installation? Of course, I would like to install Gaia on it. Say okay. Now what is the keyboard layout you would like to go for it? Let it be US layout. So this is the allocation it is showing it. So I have given you 100 GB of space. For system swap it has taken 4 GB. For system root it has taken 11. For logs it has taken 11. In backup and upgrade it has 73 GB now. Okay.
So Gopi, I have a question. Like, should we know like what and all differences that were there from the very first checkpoint firewall?
Not at all required. If you know the history, you would be knowing that what are all the problems we have faced and why those enhancements have come up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you know that one, it is good. If it doesn't know that, it doesn't mean that you don't know anything about checkpoint. You can work with the product. So I am working from version 4.
Okay.
Now currently the version what we have is 80.
Okay. R80 with virtual environment or?
Which one? R80, yes, it could also be installed on virtual environment. It doesn't matter. Okay, so now it is asking for the password to be set up for the admin account. You can see that one. Choose a password for the admin account. You will not be able to change the username, but you can set up a password. So I'm just going to set up a password which I don't forget. P@SSW0RD. For all of my classes, wherever the password is required, I'll be setting up this so that I don't need to remember the username and password. Okay, so password is P@SSW0RD. That's what I have set it up. So what is the IP scheme that you would like to set it up? So as of my diagram, I have chosen 10.1.50.100 as the IP address of my management server, correct? Okay, 10.1.50.100. Subject mark is /24, perfect. So let me put 10.1.50.1 as my gateway, because later on I'm going to be inserting one more virtual machine which will be having an IP address of 10.1.50.1. Okay. Now it says that the installation details are correct and it will be proceeding with the installation of it. So now you can sit back. You don't need to do anything now.
So are there any chances like because as it is a Linux, so it's like sometimes does it happen that installation fails or any?
No. You don't face those problems and all. First of all, it is not Linux. It is a combination of Linux and Unix.
Okay.
So they have taken the best components of Splat and best components of IPSO and they combined it together.
Okay.
So people who have worked on IPSO, they can work with Gaia. People who worked on Splat also, they can work with Gaia. Okay, now the different set of packages are being installed. In the meanwhile, let me turn it on my host machine. And I need to make sure that the IP addresses are configured as per our diagram.
And this checkpoint ISO you will be sharing with us?
You can download directly from Checkpoint. If you want, I can also share it.
But actually, we would require account on Checkpoint, no?
Yes, you can create it. It doesn't matter. But anyway, I can give you. Don't worry.
Okay. So it's a free account there, right?
Yes. It's a free account. You can log in and you can download it.
Okay.
So my host machine has started. Let me check the IP address. Okay, the IP address is different, so I'm changing it to 50.10, 255.255.255.0, 10.1.1.50.1. That's the gateway. Now my PC is ready. I'm just waiting for the installation to be completed, the Gaia installation. Okay, so once the installation is done, gets rebooted. It is preparing the portal to be copied with the checkpoint module, so that you can have whatever the module you want to be enabled on that management server or gateway.
So Gopi, I have a question.
Yes, please.
Yeah. So right now this is a distributed
Yep.
right?
Yep.
Like let's say I get a new checkpoint firewall hardware, right? I need to configure.
So the installation is completed. Now it is asking us to reboot, and it is also saying something like what? To complete the first time configuration of the system, log in from the console or connect using the browser to HTTPS 10.1.50.100. That is the IP address we have given. So I'm just saying reboot it. It's the kind of a wizard it will take you through to have the checkpoint being installed on the hardware or on top of the operating system. We are done with the OS installation. We are still pending with checkpoint installation. We have to start that one. So once it got rebooted, then we can proceed with that. Now the system got rebooted. Let me log in with my username and password. The username is admin. The password is p@ssw0rd. The moment I press enter, it will be giving me the information, right? What? In order to configure system, please access the web UI. It's nothing but a web user interface and finish the first time wizard. That is the next step we have to do it. This is where the checkpoint modules are going to be installed on top of this Gaia operating system. To do that one, so I'm just going to my base machine or the client machine, and then trying to check whether they are reachable or not. 10.1.50.100, that's the IP address of my management server. Yes, they are reachable. So that I'm starting up a browser. Using the browser, I'm going to take the first time wizard. Okay, so what is the IP address they have shown to me? https://10.1.50.100. That's the IP address of my management server. So it is giving me a warning message which says that what you are accessing a secure portal. The digital certificate given by the responding website is not under the trusted list. I know that because it's a self-signed certificate. I'm okay with it. I'm saying okay, add exception, confirm the security. Now you will be prompting for username and password. Where we are trying to log in is the Gaia, right? So it is not checkpoint now. Still we are logging into the Gaia portal. How we have logged into the CLI, similarly we are logging into the GUI. So the username is going to be admin, the password is also the same, p@ssw0rd. The moment I log in, it will be taking me through the wizard where I can have the checkpoint modules to be installed on Gaia. Right? So it has recognized that the platform on which we are running this checkpoint is VMware by seeing the MAC address. Now it is going to be saying that what? Would you like to continue with the checkpoint Gaia R7720 configuration? Yes, I would like to go for it. Right? If I have some checkpoint cloud and all, we will be discussing. We don't need to know about these components at all. But anyway, what is that we are trying to go for it? We are going for a clean installation of R77.20. Right? So we will discuss about this snapshot later on when we are talking about backups and snapshots. Okay, so what is the IP address? It is 10.1.50.100. Would you like to go for an IPv6 address? Now I'm not going to be doing that one. I'm not going to change the IP address of my management interface also. Okay, so what is the name that you would like to give it? R77, whatever the name that you want. The domain name, I'm giving it as genesis.local. Primary DNS 4.2.2.2. If you have your local DNS server, you shall feed it. But if your communication to the external world or to the management server is going to happen to a proxy server, feed those details as well. So in my case, they are directly connected through a switch. Okay, so would like to go for setting up the time manually, or would you like to go for configuring an NTP server? I'm okay with this. I'm okay with your manual time configuration. Okay, so what is that we are going to be
one question.
Yes, please.
Hello. Yeah. So as you gave the server like genesis.local, so is it like does it need to be there, or like we can just give any of that? If I can give abc.local, is it fine?
Anything you can give.
Okay.
Anything.
Fine. So I mean, like at the end, it is not going to ask for that particular server, no? For particular domain.
No, not at all, not at all. Because this will help the certificate to be prepared, the digital certificate to be prepared.
Okay. Okay.
Right. So we are going to be installing either a security gateway or a security management server. We are not going to be working with a multi-domain server at all in your curriculum. Okay. So what is that I'm going to be installing it? If it is going to be a standalone installation, just say next, because I'm going to have gateway and management server both on this hardware.
So what do you mean by multi-domain?
Let's have the discussions later on. Not now. If we start discussing that one, we will be deviating for our current discussion.
Okay.
I'll explain you that later on. Don't worry. Okay. Okay, so now in this case, what is that I'm going to be having it on this hardware? Either it could be a gateway or it could be a management server, or I can have both of them to be installed on the same hardware. That is possible. Am I right? If I'm going to enable both of them, I call it as a standalone installation, which I don't want to do it. So I would like to have the management server alone to be installed on this hardware. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
So based on my diagram, the blade what I'm using, the virtual machine what I'm using, I'm going to have only the smart security management server, not the gateway. Gateway I'm going to have a different virtual machine altogether. Is that clear?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Good. Okay. Now I'm just enabling only what? The security management server alone, not the gateway. So for next. Now it is asking for the security management administrator. We were discussing about a client, right? A smart console. When you're using a smart console to get connected to the management server blade or management server module, what is the username and password you have to use it? The username and password what we have seen earlier while we are doing the installation of your Gaia operating system is related to the operating system login. Now the login what we are setting it up is for the Checkpoint Smart Console to be connected to the management server. Is that clear?
Yep.
So I'm just setting it as cpadmin p@ssw0rd p@ssw0rd. That's what the password I'm setting it up. So for the Gaia portal, I have given you the admin password as p@ssw0rd. Whereas for the checkpoint management server, I am setting up the username as cpadmin and password as p@ssw0rd. Say next, and now the point comes in. Okay, I have set up the username and password using which an administrator could log in. But from where the administrator could log in from? I would like to restrict the IP addresses. Only from there the login could be accepted. The default is what? Is any IP address. The source IP address could be anything. I can also go and say from this machine, that means 10.1.50.10 from where the console is being, the web portal, web user interface is being initiated. Or I can also give a network with subnet mask. Say for example, your company has an administrator VLAN, you can give that admin VLAN IP segment here. Or you can also give the range of IP addresses from where the console connection could be accepted. Okay?
Yeah.
Okay, now I'm just going for any IP address. Later on also I can modify these things. So all you have to do is sit back and then observe the changes.
Gopi, do we also have a checkpoint support? Like if we require, if any companies we have, right?
Obviously, without that, if you are facing some problem, how that could be solved? Like Cisco tag, you have checkpoint tag.
Okay, okay. But for that, like some requirement would be there, right? Like if we have to, there must be some distinguish in the support, like silver support, gold
Yes,
support.
support contract that you have to purchase.
Okay.
So as like your subscription packages for antivirus, you will be renewing every year, right? Similarly, if you would like to continue the checkpoint support, then you have to renew
Okay.
the contract also.
Mm-hmm.
This. Right? The configuration has been completed. Now it gets restarted. Once everything is done, now you're done. Right? So what is that happening? So this is the menu of your Gaia portal. What is the purpose of this menu? There are many things that you can do. One of the use cases, what? I'm just going to be showing you. Can you see this one? Download Smart Console. You need a client, right? We were talking about the Smart Console. Where it is? It is available here. You can just download. It's an exe file using which you can have the dashboard being installed. Right? So you can download and install, but I have downloaded and installed already. You can see that one here, the dashboards. It's a straightforward installation on the client machines. Just download, install it. Okay, now we have the client machine and the management server is ready. So what we have to do is we have to go for one more virtual machine with the gateway module being enabled. So we know how to create a new virtual machine. Now I'm not going to explain you. I'm just going with So one thing I would like to tell you here, we were talking about the gateway supposed to be having at a minimum of 2 interfaces, right?
Yep.
Now I'm just going with only one single interface. Later on I'll show you how the additional interfaces could be added, so that will be a lesson for you again. So as of now I have only one interface. That interface is connected to which virtual switch? VMnet1. So we are adding up a gateway here. We are adding up a gateway here. So that gateway has one interface as of now, that is connected to again to the virtual switch. So which will be having an IP address of this interface. This interface will be having an IP address of 10.1.50.1. That's what we were doing it earlier. We have configured the management server with the gateway as 10.1.50.1, the client with the default gateway as 10.1.50.1. Okay, fine. Now finish it off. I'm going to start. Now I'm just muting my the communication so that you can watch what is that we are doing it. Okay, so now it is asking that the gateway is going to be taking an IP address dynamically. No, it is not, because we have set up the IP address statically, right? Now there is something called as a secure internal communication key is being prompted. I will explain you this why it is being prompted when I'm doing some exercises over there. So I'll be adding this gateway to be part of the management server. Okay, so sit back, and then now we can have the discussions related to those. What is it called? The SIG key. Okay, fine. So I was telling about what is that we have. You guys are there, right?
Yeah.
Hello.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Now what is that we were talking about? The gateway is going to get the instructions from the security management server. The SMS will be getting the instructions from the client, from an administrator. Now the thing is, they have to be secure. The communication which is happening from client to management server needs to be secure. Similarly, management server to gateway needs to be secure. The gateway should get the instructions only from the authorized management server. How that is possible? First of all, after the installation of your gateway is done, this has to be associated with the management server, right? So how do you do that one? In management server, the gateway is going to be identified for the management purposes. So it will be sending the management request. Okay, the management server is saying that, hey gateway, you are under my control. So I'll be managing you. I'll be passing all the instructions to you. So what the gateway will do? Okay, but how you can authorize me? How you can manage me? First of all, do you know the passcode to manage me? So that is what the SIG key is all about. So what is that SIG? SIG is a key, gives the authorization to the management server to manage the device, as well as SIG is the key which is used to encrypt the communication between the management server and the gateway. Do you understand what I'm saying? Okay, the gateway needs to get the instruction from the management server. So we are giving the information to the management server that there is a gateway that you have to manage it. So the moment I say this to the management server, it will send the management request to the gateway. Hey gateway, I would like to manage you. Immediately the gateway will ask you, okay, but give me the passcode. So that passcode is what? The SIG key. You guys can understand this one?
Yeah.
Okay. So is it something that we define when we?
Exactly. Yes. Just now we have defined it, na? So I have given the SIG key configuration here. Okay, the installation has been completed. Now it is going to be boot up. Rebooting will be happening. But one more thing we just need to understand. As I said earlier, these components are spread across the network. The client can be any part of your network. As long as the management server IP address is reachable, it could be managed. In management server, we have given the information. If the management request is coming from this IP, only then you can accept it. Of course, the username password should be valid. You remember when we are doing the installation of your management server, we said that the smart console can be from. Okay, I will show you that again if you want. Okay, admin p@ssw0rd. I'm logging into the management server. Okay. Can you see this an option called as GUI clients? When we have done the management server installation, I said from any. I also told you that from this machine. I have also shown you that there are 4 different options. One is from any IP address. The other one is from this machine. The other one is from network. The other 4th option is what? A range of IP addresses. What I'm trying to say, the management request can be accepted only from the specified IP addresses. In my case, I have given it as what? Any. If you are very sure and you would like to allow the management request to be initiated from a specific VLAN, give those information. That's it. Now, the communication what we have started, the management server is located in one network. The client can be from anywhere. So we have defined the IP addresses of the clients from where the request can be connected. We have given the information to the management server. You can accept the communication. You can accept the management request only from these IP addresses. as well as the communication from the client to the management server is going to be secured through HTTPS. It's an encrypted communication. Similarly, the gateway could be anywhere as long as the IP address of the management as long as the IP address of the gateway can be reachable from the management server, the gateway can be managed from the management server. Since the communication is going to happen over the network, we need to make sure that the communication is being protected, so we are encrypting the communication. In that way, it is protected. Right? Now, how this is going to be happening? When you're trying to add the gateway on the management server, I told you, right? So first of all, the management server needs to know which gateway it is going to be managing it. So you're giving the detail. When you're trying to add the gateway to the management server for the first time, it will be asking for the key, which is nothing but the SIG key. If the SIG key is valid, then the gateway can be associated to the management server. Then from that moment on, the management server can pass the information or the instructions to the gateway, based on which it can start filtering the traffic. So when it is being attached to the management server, a component which is running inside the management server, which is known as what? An ICA, Internal Certification Authority, which will distribute the certificate for the component which is being added to the management server. A digital certificate is going to be issued by the SMS to every component which is being added to the management server. Do you understand?
So is there any kind of rule that we add to the gateway that will have the certificate?
No, nothing. Initially, the SIG key is more than enough.
Okay.
Okay? Right. Let's see that, whether it is happening or not. Okay, now we have what? We have a client machine, we have a management server, we also have a gateway with us. Everything is ready. All we have to do is what? We need to open up the dashboard. We have already downloaded and installed the dashboard. Now we are going to be opening up the dashboard to get connected to it. Okay. Now it will be prompting me. Just give me a minute. Someone has come. So I just need to open up the door for him. Is that happening or not?
Does the management server know about that key?
That I'll be showing it to you now.
Okay.
So I'm going to add the gateway to be part of the management server. When I do that one, the prompt will come.
Okay.
So what we have a dashboard, we have a management server, we have a gateway. So using the dashboard or the client, we are going to get connected to the management server. So I just need to feed the username and password. cpadmin is the username. Password is p@ssw0rd. The IP address of my management server is what? 10.1.50.1. Sorry, 50.100. That's the IP address of my management server. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. So when I'm trying to connect to the management server for the first time, the management server will also be giving you a fingerprint. Something like when you're connecting to a device using a putty for the first time, a key negotiation will happen.
Right.
Similar to that, a fingerprint of the management server will be shown to you, with which a client can confirm that they are connecting to the right management server or not. So before I see that fingerprint here, let me go to the management server and check it out. What is the fingerprint over there? Okay, can you see option number 7 as a certificate fingerprint?
Right.
Okay, I'm just going to select the option as 7 just to see the fingerprint. So the fingerprint is what? Guy, deed, silk, do, something is there. So I'm just noting down only the last 4 words of it. First, gold, per, hoof. So when I'm connecting to the management server for the first time via the dashboard, I can see that fingerprint being shown to me. Can you see this one?
Yeah.
In this way, from console, I'm confirming that I'm connecting to the right management server. So once you say that this fingerprint is correct, then I'm just going to approve it. So only for the first time the fingerprint will be showing to you. So if later on, if you're connecting to the management server, if the IP address is the same but the fingerprint is different, you will be getting a warning message. So in that way, you can confirm always you're connecting to the right management server. Okay, I'm just approving it. Hey, did I resume the? Oh. Okay, so this is the dashboard where we are going to be working with. Now we are connected to the management server. There are many things we will be discussing one by one, right? So first of all, I'm just introducing you. This is the object scan. So that is where we'll be creating all the objects. Checkpoint is made up of something called as objects. So if you would like to use anything, first of all, you need to create it as an object inside the checkpoint. Only then you can use it anyway. So if, for example, if you're writing a rule, you need to identify the source, destination, and services, right? So all those are going to be created as an object inside the checkpoint. Then you can start using it. Okay. Now the point is, we were talking about this is the network object, the services object, the UFP, LDAP, so many things are there. So we will be going through one by one later on. So I'm going to show you how the gateway is going to be associated as part of your management server management. Okay, so can you see this one, the network object, you have something called as a checkpoint. You can see what are all the blades or what are all the modules of checkpoint has been associated here. I'm seeing only the management server. And the checkpoint, I'm seeing only the management server. So I need to associate the gateway to be part of this management server so that the management server can manage the gateway. So what I have to do is right click on the checkpoint and then say what is that you are going to be adding it. So I'm just going to add a security gateway here. So that's the first option, I'm selecting it. Okay. So it is asking me whether how do you would like to go for it. Would like to go for a wizard mode or classic mode. So the recommendation is you can go with anything, but I prefer to go with the wizard mode so that it will be prompting me a step-by-step procedure. Okay. Now, how do you want to give a name? What is the name that you would like to assign, or how do you want to identify the gateway that you are trying to associate with the management server? You can give a name like R77 Gateway Chennai. So that's where I'm residing. So I'm just giving the Chennai. So what is the platform that you are trying to manage it? So here in my case, it is an open server. If it is 1100, whatever the model of gateway that you have purchased, the blade you have purchased, the appliance that you have purchased, you can specify here. In my case, what I have is an open server. Okay. So what is the IP address of the gateway that is reachable for me, or using which I can do the management? 10.1.50.1. Right. So that's the IP address of the gateway through which the management is going to be happening. So 10.1.50.1, I'm saying next. When I say next, if the IP address is reachable and the password what I'm giving is perfect, then they will be associated. You remember what is this password? We were talking about the SIG key. When the gateway has been installed, it was asking me to set up a SIG key. So that is what I'm calling it as a one-time password. So now the state of the communication is what? It is uninitialized. If the key what I'm giving is correct, then it gets initialized. Okay. Now can you see the interface which is associated to the gateway? We have only one interface, correct? Close. And then I'm just going to be finishing it. Yeah. So the changes we have made, so obviously I just need to start saving it. If I don't save it and I'm coming back, the changes whatever I have done wouldn't be available. All of them would be lost. So the recommendation is what? Whenever you are doing the changes, please save it immediately. Okay, so now we have the gateway, we also have the Chennai gateway. This is the management server. F77 gateway is the name of the management server, and R77 gateway Chennai is the name of the gateway. How do I differentiate it? When you see M, it's a management portal running on that. You could see the M over here, right, on my mouse pointer?
Yes.
Okay, that means that is a management server. Okay, now all of them are ready with us. So whatever is required, we have done. We have created a management server, we have installed the gateway has been associated to the management server. We are good to go. But I told you that we need a minimum of 2 interfaces, correct?
Right.
Okay, I have only one single interface. Now I would like to go with the secondary interface as well. You guys are okay to go with additional 10 more minutes now?
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. So I have one interface here which is connected to the internal network. Now I would like to have an external connection as well, so that I'll be able to test it out all the things. I would like to get connected to the internet. So I have the setup here as I have a DSL router which is connected to internet, right? Now this is connected to my laptop. This laptop is where I have my VMware. Okay. Now the point is, where is my? Okay. Now I would like to provide connectivity to the internet, to the gateway. So how do I do it? I'm going to create an interface on gateway that is going to be bound to the physical interface of my laptop. We call this as bridging. Okay.
Yep.
So my DSL router is in the segment of 192.168.4.1. So obviously my external interface of my gateway is going to be in the same segment. So that I'm going to be creating first. So you can see that one. So I'm going to add an interface. As of now only one interface is there. I'm going to add an interface. That interface is going to be in a bridged mode. Right? Okay. So I have added an interface. I'm just going to go and check it out, whether that interface is being shown on my dashboard or not. How do I do that? So I'm just going to check the gateway. Right? I'm just going to check the gateway, double click it, or you can right click and edit it. Whatever you want, you can do it. See here, if I go to the topology, I'm seeing only one single interface. Do you understand what I'm saying? Only one interface is being shown. So what I'm trying to do, I'm just going there to the gateway, checking out whether the interface has been taken or not. It wouldn't show. Show interfaces will list out all the interfaces of available in the hardware. So what are the interfaces are available? ETH0 and loopback. Only these two interfaces are available. But I have added an interface, right? But that interface is not being shown here. This is because any component can be recognized by the hardware during the post. So the hardware is going to recognize any of the components when I do the post. Now I have added the interface after booting up, right? So that interface couldn't be recognized by the hardware first of all. So what I'm doing is I'm just going for the rebooting it. Okay, after rebooting, it will show it on.
So this SIG key is there.
Mm-hmm.
So the SIG key do we get with the installation only?
No, you can also configure later on. If there is a problem, I will show you that one. If there is a problem between the management server and the gateway, you may also need to check whether the SIG key has been corrupted or not. If the SIG key is corrupted, then we have to reinitialize it. I will show you that one.
No, but what I'm asking exactly, once when we get the when we try to get the software from the website, okay, so the SIG key is also included in it?
No, that was, it's a customized one. You can set whatever you want.
Okay, it's a customized.
When I have done the installation, it was asking me to configure a SIG key, right? It could be anything.
Okay. I thought that there was some particular key to be defined.
Nope.
Okay.
Now the box has booted up. Admin SSW0RD, show interfaces. I'm just using it. Now I'm seeing the two interfaces here, ETH0 and ETH1. Can you see that one? So ETH0 I'm using it for the internal, and ETH1 I'm using it for external. Okay, now let me go and check it out whether those interfaces are being shown or not. No, it's not shown. Okay, what would be the problem now? So if the interface is up state, I don't know. I'm just logging into the Gaia portal of the gateway and checking out what is the status of my interface. Admin p@ssw0rd. Logging in. The interfaces could be configured only on the OS. The interface, I'm checking it out. The interface is in down state. Can you see this one? Okay. Now I'm editing it. I'm enabling it. I'm just going to assign an IP address 192.168.4. What IP we shall give? We'll give 140. 255.255.0. Okay. Now the interface is up. Is there anything missing? No. Okay. Now let me check the interface status here. Still it is showing only one interface. How come? The interface is up. Let us check it out whether the gateway is reachable or not. The DSL router is reachable or not. 192.168.4.1. Yes, it is reachable. So the interface is active. Am I right or not? Okay. So one thing you need to remember, when you do the changes on the operating system, it is not going to be synchronized with the checkpoint management server automatically. Whatever you do on the operating system is not going to be synchronized with the checkpoint. So all you have to do is, if you have done some changes, if at all it has to be reflected in your management server or the checkpoint, all you have to do is go to the topology. Now whatever the changes we have done, I'm just going to get that information basically. Now it is fetching that information. Can you see that? There are two interfaces now. So when the changes are being done on the operating system level, checkpoint is not aware of it. So you have to manually go and synchronize with it. Does it make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So can you see this one? When I say ETH0 is internal, the network is internal. ETH1 is also internal. Am I right?
No, it should be external, right?
It should be external, right? But it is showing as internal. How come? Okay, there's one point that we need to understand here. Let's see, come back to the network interfaces. What is the static route I have? Do I have a default route or any other routes pointing to anywhere? No. When I have done the installation of my gateway, the IP address what I have configured was 10.1.50.1 with a subnet mask of 255.255.255.0, but I have not configured a gateway for it. Right? So the gateway obviously my DSL router, correct? As of my diagram, I supposed to have the gateway of this interface should be 192.168.4.1. That is what I'm going to do it now, and then I'm going to check it out. So route, there is a default route. I'm editing it. It's an IP address. The IP address is 192.168.4.1. That's my gateway. So I'm just going to save it. Now I have done some changes on the operating system level. So obviously, what I have to do?
So to know that
get interfaces with topology. So as of now, both of them are showing as internal. Check it out after adding a default gateway. It got changed. Because it can understand the default gateway normally we configure to reach the external world. If you have your internal networks with different IP segments, you might be adding some static routes or dynamic routing protocol, you may be adding it. Does it make sense? Okay. So next step, whenever you are facing some problem, check it out. This is the general properties section. You can see the certificate status as what? Trust established. Though it is showing trust established, check it out the 6 status. Always you should see communicating. If the communication is disturbed between the management server and the gateway, you will see some error messages over here. You're seeing what? The 6 status, it is in communicating status. Right? If there is a problem, then you may need to reset the SIG key on gateway, then you have to reassociate it. How do I do it? So here I have something called as what? Reset is there on the management server side. and you have to set up the key first. That you can do again with cpconfig. Can you see the option number 5 here, secure internal communication?
Yes.
With which you can recreate the SIG key and you can associate gateway to the management server again. Okay, I will show you that one now. I'm just going to say option number 5. It is asking me to reinitialize. Yes. Are you sure? Of course, yes. I'm going to set a new key. The key has been set now. Okay.
Right.
Now it is the checkpoint components are getting restarted.
Like we can have like multiple devices like switches.
Your voice is breaking, ma. I'm sorry.
I'm saying like I can add a switch to this topology as well. Like
A switch.
Like the very yeah.
Uh,
Like multiple lines.
yeah. Why not? You can have multiple gateways. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
Okay. Now it has been restarted.
Or do I need GNS3 for that?
You can connect GNS3 also.
Okay.
You can connect VMware with GNS3 and then you can start working whatever you want, whatever the setup you want. Okay. Now still see here, the status of the certificate is trust established. Test the SIG status. What is that it is saying? It is not communicating. Here does not have a certificate for the SIG what we have configured. So what I'm trying to do, I'm trying to set up the new key what we have created. So what is the key we have created? I know that it is Genesis. If the key what we are using is correct, then the communication will happen. See, can you see now the trust established? Then if you say the test SIG status, you can see the communicating. As long as the status of the SIG is in communicating state, so it could be managed. The communication between the management server and gateway is happening properly. Okay?
Yep.
Good. You're good. Okay. Now you can ask the questions whatever you have. Now just let me pass the recording now. We don't need to have those things. Good.